Dark truth: sometimes people dislike you before you even speak, before a mistake, before a conversation, before they truly know your heart. Strange reactions, cold energy, silent resentment, judgments without reason. And the painful part, many kind people spend years blaming themselves for it. Reality works differently. Hatred is often less about your actions and more about the emotions your presence awakens inside other people. Confidence triggers insecurity. Peace disturbs chaos. Authenticity exposes masks. Some individuals feel uncomfortable around anyone who reminds them of the person they secretly wish they could become. Psychologists call this projection, emotional displacement, social comparison. But in everyday life, it simply feels like rejection, quiet exclusion, fake smiles, sudden distance. Many never realize they are carrying pain created by other people's inner battles. Tonight, hidden truths finally come into the light. This video reveals 10 powerful reasons people secretly resent you, even when you've done nothing wrong. Some reasons are psychological, some are emotional, and some are deeply unsettling once you notice them in real life. By the end of this video, many confusing experiences from your past may suddenly start making sense. Certain people fear honesty, others fear independence, and some become angry simply because your energy exposes parts of themselves they work desperately to hide. None of this means you are perfect, but it may explain why staying genuine in today's world quietly attracts resistance. Stay until the end because the final reason explains why strong, emotionally aware people often become the most misunderstood individuals in every room they enter. Welcome to Empath Energy, a place for deep emotional truths, human psychology, and silent strength. Subscribe now and become part of a community that sees beyond the surface. Silent tension, strange hostility, unexplained dislike. Sometimes the real reason people resent you has nothing to do with cruelty, arrogance, or ego. Sometimes your presence simply reminds them of everything they abandoned inside themselves. Your discipline reminds lazy people of their excuses. Your consistency quietly exposes their lack of effort. Every early morning you survive, every promise you keep to yourself, every moment of self-control becomes uncomfortable proof that change was always possible. And many people would rather resent the mirror than face the reflection staring back at them. The same happens with peace. Calm people disturb chaotic minds without even trying. Someone carrying inner anger often feels irritated around a person who speaks softly, thinks clearly, and refuses to create drama. Your emotional stability forces them to notice the noise inside themselves. Psychology calls this projection. Human beings push unwanted feelings onto others because facing their own insecurity feels too painful. Instead of admitting envy, they call you boring. Instead of admitting admiration, they label you cold. Instead of admitting they feel lost, they criticize your confidence. Deep down, your existence becomes a mirror they never asked to look into. And mirrors are dangerous to people who spend their lives avoiding themselves. This is why genuine people often feel hated in rooms where they tried to bring kindness. Not because they caused harm, but because authenticity naturally exposes hidden discomfort. Some people smile around those who stay asleep because sleeping people never challenge their reality. But growth carries a different energy. Discipline carries a different energy. Healing carries a different energy. And not everybody feels safe around someone who silently represents the person they failed to become. Quiet independence unsettles more people than loud arrogance ever will. Many individuals are comfortable around those who constantly seek approval, attention, or reassurance because dependency creates control. The moment someone realizes your happiness does not depend on their validation, the dynamic changes completely. Emotionally controlling people often expect others to chase acceptance, apologize for existing, or shrink themselves to keep relationships stable. But emotionally secure people move differently. They can enjoy connection without losing themselves inside it. They can walk away from disrespect without begging to be understood. And strangely, that kind of self-respect is often misunderstood as pride or emotional distance. Some people become uncomfortable when they realize they cannot manipulate your emotions through silence, guilt, or rejection. Your ability to validate yourself removes the power they normally hold over others. Calm confidence feels threatening in a world addicted to approval. The same pattern appears when you stop reacting emotionally. Manipulative people feed on reactions. Drama gives them energy. Chaos gives them control. But when you remain calm during conflict, their tactics suddenly stop working. Silence becomes stronger than argument. Boundaries become stronger than explanations, and many people secretly resent anyone they cannot emotionally shake. The truth is, healthy boundaries expose unhealthy intentions. The second you say no, fake respect often disappears. Some individuals only support the version of you that stays available, exhausted, and easy to use. Once you protect your peace, they call you selfish because access to your energy is no longer unlimited. Authentic people also stand out naturally in groups built on conformity. Independent thinkers challenge unspoken rules without saying a word. Your honesty exposes fake personalities. Your emotional awareness exposes hidden motives. Your confidence forces insecure people into silent comparison. And sometimes people dislike you for the simplest reason of all: your presence reminds them that they abandoned parts of themselves long ago. Controlled silence carries a kind of power most people never understand. Emotional manipulators expect reactions: anger, defensiveness, desperation. Their influence depends on their ability to disturb your emotional state. That is why calmness feels threatening to them. The moment you stop reacting emotionally, their control begins to disappear. Some people survive by creating chaos around others because chaos distracts them from the emptiness within themselves. They provoke. They criticize. They test your patience just to prove they can still reach your emotions. But emotional discipline changes the entire game. Staying calm does not mean weakness. It means your mind no longer belongs to every opinion, insult, or negative energy thrown at you. And many people secretly resent individuals they cannot emotionally control. Your silence frustrates those waiting for an explosion. Your restraint confuses those addicted to drama. Deep emotional strength often looks cold to people who mistake reactions for passion. But true strength is remaining centered while others lose control around you. The same discomfort appears when you refuse to participate in gossip, manipulation, or emotional games. Toxic people often bond through negativity because shared drama creates temporary connection. But mature individuals move differently. They protect their peace. They observe more than they speak. They stop chasing validation from unstable people. And strangely, that emotional independence can make others feel rejected even when no harm was intended. Some individuals also become uncomfortable around highly observant people. Emotional intelligence notices small shifts in behavior: fake kindness, forced smiles, hidden resentment. Manipulative personalities dislike being seen clearly because their power depends on confusion and performance. Your awareness quietly removes the mask they spent years building. And sometimes the resentment grows stronger when life fails to break you. People expect pain to harden you into bitterness. They expect betrayal to destroy your softness. But resilience carries a powerful energy. When you continue growing instead of collapsing, your healing becomes proof that darkness did not win. Sudden distance, unexpected anger, strange accusations. Many relationships begin to change the moment you finally set boundaries. Selfish people rarely expose themselves while they are still receiving unlimited access to your time, energy, patience, and emotional support. The truth appears when you say no. That single word becomes a test. Healthy people respect boundaries because they respect you as a human being. But controlling people often take boundaries personally because limits interrupt the benefits they were quietly enjoying. This is why fake respect disappears so quickly once access is denied. Some individuals never loved the real you. They loved the version of you that stayed available no matter how exhausted, overwhelmed, or emotionally drained you became. The version that tolerated disrespect. The version that remained silent to avoid conflict. The version that sacrificed peace to keep everyone comfortable. But growth changes people. Healing changes people. Eventually, emotionally aware individuals realize that protecting their peace is not cruelty. It is survival. And strangely, many people react to self-respect as though it is betrayal. People often call boundaries arrogance when access is denied. They label you difficult because they can no longer control your emotions, your attention, or your availability. This discomfort grows even stronger when you stop explaining yourself. Mature people understand that not every boundary requires a long emotional speech. Sometimes silence is enough. Sometimes distance is enough. And emotionally manipulative people hate losing emotional access they once considered permanent. The same pattern appears when you stop shrinking yourself to fit inside other people's expectations. Authentic individuals naturally stand out in environments built on performance and conformity. Your honesty becomes threatening to people hiding behind masks. Your confidence irritates those trapped in comparison. Your emotional awareness exposes hidden intentions others hoped would stay invisible. And without trying, your presence quietly forces people to confront parts of themselves they spent years avoiding. Different energy always attracts attention. Human beings naturally trust familiarity because predictability feels safe. That is why independent thinkers often become targets without understanding why. Social psychology has shown for decades that groups tend to protect shared beliefs, behaviors, and emotional patterns. Anyone who thinks differently, moves differently, or refuses to blindly follow the crowd quietly disrupts that sense of comfort. Herd behavior rewards conformity because conformity keeps systems stable, but authentic people create tension simply by existing outside those invisible rules. Your refusal to fake emotions, chase trends, or copy personalities forces others to notice how much of their own identity was built for approval, and that realization can create deep discomfort. Being authentic threatens people who wear masks daily. Some individuals spend years performing versions of themselves they believe society will accept. They hide insecurity behind arrogance, pain behind humor, emptiness behind popularity. Then someone genuine enters the room without pretending, without performing, without desperately needing validation, and suddenly the performance around them begins to feel fragile. This is why emotionally real people are often misunderstood at first. Authenticity carries unpredictability because it cannot be easily manipulated. Independent minds ask difficult questions, they challenge toxic norms, they refuse to betray themselves just to belong. And groups built on shallow acceptance often react harshly toward anyone unwilling to play along. The same pattern appears with quiet confidence. People expect insecurity because insecurity is common. But when someone stands comfortably in their own identity without arrogance or apology, comparison begins automatically. Some individuals compete with your energy even though you never entered a competition. Others resent the attention your presence naturally attracts, not because you demanded it, but because authenticity always stands out in rooms full of imitation. And many people secretly fear those who remain true to themselves because deep down, they abandoned parts of themselves long ago just to survive acceptance. Quiet confidence unsettles insecure people in ways loud arrogance never can. Arrogance is easy to dismiss because it usually hides weakness, but calm self-respect feels different. It carries no desperation, no need to prove superiority, no hunger for approval. Just a quiet understanding of personal worth. And strangely, that energy irritates people who constantly measure their value against others. Psychology calls this social comparison. Human beings naturally compare themselves to the people around them to evaluate success, attractiveness, intelligence, or importance. But insecure individuals take comparison personally. Instead of feeling inspired, they feel threatened. Your growth becomes their insecurity. Your peace becomes their frustration. Your confidence becomes evidence of everything they believe they lack. And the strange part is, you may never even notice the competition happening around you. Some people compete with energy you never entered. They analyze your attention, your relationships, your success, your presence in a room, not because you attacked them, but because your confidence silently activated their self-doubt. This is why emotionally secure people are often misunderstood. Healthy confidence does not beg to be seen, it simply exists. But many people mistake inner stability for pride because they are unfamiliar with people who genuinely like themselves without constant validation. The same discomfort grows stronger when you become emotionally observant. Manipulative individuals rely on confusion, performance, and emotional distraction. But awareness changes everything. You begin noticing fake kindness hiding resentment, forced smiles hiding jealousy, friendly conversations hiding competition. And once people realize you can see through their behavior, many become uncomfortable around you. Your presence removes the safety of pretending. That is why emotionally intelligent people often feel isolated in certain environments, not because they believe they are better than others, but because they notice emotional patterns most people ignore. And sometimes the strongest resentment comes from people who expected life to break you completely, only to watch you rebuild yourself stronger, calmer, and harder to control. Sharp awareness changes the way people react to you. Manipulative individuals feel safest around those who ignore emotional patterns, overlook disrespect, or blindly trust appearances. But observant people notice the small things others miss. The slight change in tone during a conversation, the fake smile that disappears too quickly, the hidden resentment behind forced kindness. Emotional intelligence is not magic. It is the ability to read energy, behavior, inconsistency, and intention beneath words. And many people become deeply uncomfortable when they realize they cannot easily fool you. Being emotionally aware often means sensing tension before conflict even begins. You notice when praise feels insincere. You notice when someone supports you publicly but secretly competes with you privately. You notice when kindness only appears when people need something from you. And although you may stay silent about it, your awareness alone changes the dynamic. People become uncomfortable when they feel seen. Not physically seen, emotionally seen. Masks lose power around observant individuals. Manipulative behavior becomes harder to hide. That is why emotionally intelligent people are often labeled too sensitive or too quiet. In reality, they are simply paying attention. The same discomfort appears when you refuse to participate in emotional games. No gossip. No unnecessary drama, no desperate need to prove yourself. Toxic people often rely on emotional reactions to feel important. They create conflict to gain attention. They spread negativity to feel connected. But mature individuals protect their peace instead of feeding chaos. And strangely, peace itself can irritate people addicted to emotional disorder. Your calm energy forces others to sit alone with feelings they constantly avoid. This becomes even more powerful after healing. Pain changes people, but healing transforms them completely. When you survive betrayal, disappointment, rejection, or emotional exhaustion without becoming bitter, your resilience sends a message many people struggle to understand. Life tried to harden you, but your heart remained awake. And some individuals resent anyone who proves that darkness is not strong enough to destroy a genuine soul. Refusing to play emotional games instantly changes how certain people treat you. No gossip, no manipulation, no chasing attention, no begging for validation. Mature individuals learn that peace is more valuable than temporary approval, but toxic people often interpret that emotional control as weakness, arrogance, or coldness. The truth is, emotionally healthy people stop wasting energy on chaos that leads nowhere. They no longer fight for one-sided relationships. They no longer explain themselves to people committed to misunderstanding them. And they no longer allow drama to become entertainment. But in environments where emotional instability is normal, calm behavior feels suspicious. Some people are so used to dysfunction that stability feels distant and unfamiliar. That is why mature people are often labeled cold simply because they stopped reacting emotionally to every situation. Boundaries get mistaken for pride. Silence gets mistaken for attitude. Emotional discipline gets mistaken for lack of care. In reality, many emotionally aware people care deeply. They simply learned that not every battle deserves access to their nervous system. Toxic people hate what they cannot emotionally control. The moment guilt stops working, manipulation loses power. The moment emotional chasing disappears, unhealthy dynamics begin collapsing. And some individuals become angry because your peace forces them to confront their own emotional emptiness. The same pattern appears when your healing becomes visible. Hurt people often expect pain to destroy softness, kindness, or authenticity. They expect betrayal to turn you bitter. But resilient people evolve differently. They become wiser without becoming cruel, stronger without becoming heartless. Your growth becomes uncomfortable proof that suffering did not define your future. And sometimes people resent you simply because you survived experiences that would have emotionally broken them. Your presence reminds them that strength is not loud. Real strength is quiet. It is self-control. It is emotional awareness. It is protecting your peace in a world constantly trying to disturb it. And not everybody feels comfortable around someone who finally learned their worth. Healing changes your energy in ways people immediately notice, even when you say nothing at all. Hurt people often feel exposed around healed people because your growth silently reflects the wounds they continue avoiding. The habits you outgrew, the pain you confronted, the emotional cycles you finally escaped. All of it becomes a reminder that transformation was possible. And not everyone feels comfortable facing that truth. Some people become attached to old versions of you because those versions were easier to control, easier to predict, easier to keep emotionally small. But healing creates distance between who you were and who you are becoming. Your standards rise, your awareness deepens, your tolerance for disrespect disappears, and relationships built on unhealthy patterns begin struggling to survive the new version of you. This is why transformation often changes relationships without arguments or dramatic endings. Certain connections fade quietly because your energy no longer matches environments built on negativity, manipulation, or emotional exhaustion. Sometimes your evolution silently ends old connections, not out of hatred, but out of alignment. Growth naturally separates people walking in different emotional directions. The same discomfort appears when your presence naturally stands out. Some individuals resent attention they never earned. Your kindness, confidence, intelligence, mystery, or emotional depth draws people toward you without effort, and insecure individuals often interpret that attention as a threat. Not because you demanded it, but because authenticity naturally attracts curiosity in a world full of performance. And sometimes the deepest resentment comes from people who expected your pain to destroy you permanently. They watched you struggle. They watched you fall apart. They assumed disappointment would make you bitter, insecure, or emotionally broken forever. But instead, you rebuilt yourself. You became calmer, stronger, more aware. Your survival became proof that darkness failed to erase your light. And some people become uncomfortable around anyone who reminds them that healing is possible, growth is real, and inner peace cannot be controlled once someone finally chooses themselves. Certain people carry a presence that naturally draws attention without trying. It is not always appearance or status. Sometimes it is energy, calmness, intelligence, kindness, mystery, emotional depth. Some individuals walk into a room and people feel their presence before they even speak. And while genuine people rarely seek attention desperately, attention often follows authenticity naturally. This creates silent tension in people who build their identity around being noticed. Some people struggle watching others receive admiration, respect, or curiosity effortlessly because deep down they believe attention must be earned through performance, control, or constant validation. So when someone receives it simply by being real, discomfort begins quietly growing inside them. The strange part is, you may never even realize it is happening. You continue being yourself while others secretly compare, compete, and analyze every detail about your life. Some people dislike you simply because others notice you. That uncomfortable feeling eventually turns into subtle resentment, passive comments, forced indifference, quiet exclusion. Not because you harmed anyone, but because your existence unintentionally activates insecurity in people still searching for value within themselves. The same reaction happens when your resilience becomes visible. Many people expect suffering to destroy confidence permanently. They expect betrayal to turn people bitter. They expect rejection to create insecurity that lasts forever. But resilient souls evolve differently. Pain teaches them awareness. Healing teaches them strength. and surviving emotional darkness gives them a quiet power that cannot be faked. This kind of inner transformation becomes difficult for some people to understand because it forces them to confront their own emotional limitations. They wonder how someone could go through so much and still remain kind, calm, and emotionally alive. Your survival challenges the belief that pain automatically destroys people, and in a world where many individuals surrender to bitterness, your ability to heal without losing your humanity becomes both inspiring and deeply uncomfortable to those who stopped believing growth was possible for themselves. Some people fully expected life to break you. They expected the betrayal to harden your heart, the rejection to destroy your confidence, the loneliness to silence your spirit. Deep down, they assumed pain would eventually turn you bitter like everyone else around them. But emotional survival creates a different kind of strength. Real healing is not pretending the pain never happened. It is carrying the scars without allowing them to poison your soul. It is learning how to stay soft in a world that rewards emotional numbness. And strangely, your resilience frustrates people who were quietly waiting for your collapse. There are individuals who feel more comfortable seeing others suffer because suffering validates their own hopelessness. But when someone survives darkness and still chooses growth, kindness, and peace, it disrupts that belief completely. Your healing becomes proof that darkness did not win. That truth can inspire people ready to grow, but it can also disturb people emotionally attached to pain, victimhood, or resentment. Some individuals unconsciously expect you to remain the same broken person they once knew because your transformation forces them to confront how long they stayed emotionally stuck. This is why healing often changes entire relationships without words. Your energy shifts, your standards shift, your tolerance for negativity disappears. You stop begging to be chosen by people who repeatedly ignored your worth. You stop shrinking yourself to fit inside environments that drain your spirit. And eventually, people who benefited from your insecurity begin feeling uncomfortable around your confidence. The most powerful part is that true resilience is usually quiet. No loud speeches, no desperate need to prove strength. Just a calm soul that survived things nobody fully saw and still chose not to become cruel afterward. That kind of emotional survival carries rare power, because in a world filled with bitterness, manipulation, and hidden pain, remaining genuine after everything you endured becomes a form of silent victory that many people will never fully understand. Not everyone who dislikes you truly hates you. Sometimes people are fighting private battles your presence unknowingly awakens inside them. Your confidence reminds them of their insecurity. Your peace reminds them of their chaos. Your healing reminds them of wounds they never faced. And while that pain may explain their behavior, it is not your responsibility to carry the weight of everyone else's emotional struggles. Too many good people spend their lives shrinking themselves just to make others feel comfortable. Staying quiet to avoid jealousy, hiding their growth to avoid criticism, apologizing for their boundaries, apologizing for their confidence, apologizing for becoming stronger after surviving difficult seasons. But real freedom begins the moment you stop betraying yourself for acceptance. Not everybody will understand your journey. Not everybody will celebrate your growth, and that is okay. The right people will never punish you for being authentic. Real connections do not require you to become smaller, weaker, or emotionally exhausted just to be loved. Genuine people will respect your peace, your honesty, your boundaries, and your evolution. So never feel guilty for protecting your energy. Never feel ashamed for outgrowing toxic environments. And never allow rejection to convince you that your authenticity is the problem. Sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is remain genuine in a world constantly rewarding performance. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Empath Energy, and share this with someone who needs to hear it tonight. Your support helps this community continue reaching people who silently feel misunderstood every single day. And always remember this: the moment you stop shrinking yourself for others, you finally become free.